TikTok is facing a lot of pressure as the app could be banned in the U.S. if its owners do not sell to a non-Chinese company. Trump has said in recent days that he may reconsider it when he takes office, but the deadline to sell the app is before Trump's inauguration, and there are a lot of questions on if he can even do anything at that point. Our 9 News legal expert Whitney Trailer joins us now to break it all down. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, good to be here.
This is interesting. Okay, so the court will have oral arguments on January 10th, but the ban is effective on January 19th.
Correct.
What happens if there is not a decision by the 19th?
Right, that's a great question, a great starting place. And the answer is that the Court of Appeals decision will then be affirmed and be in place. So that means the ban would go in place. But of course, the Trump administration's coming in the very next day.
Right.
So implementing it and actually trying to enforce it is probably not realistic if he's trying to, reverse the ban.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the question, because he's recently said he met with the TikTok company, and now he's like, I might want to stop this and reverse it and keep TikTok around.
Yeah.
But you were saying his inauguration is the day after this is supposed to happen. So what can he do?
Well, so there's a number of things, because this law is supposed to go into effect, but it's interesting because the court is actually asking for briefs by December 27th, and they're also asking for briefs from not only the parties, but also, which is the Department of Justice and of course TikTok and ByteDance, but they're also asking for people who may be impacted financially. So that means that the court is also going to consider the financial consequences, because TikTok is saying, look, if you shut us down for even 1 month, we'll lose a third of our customers or clients, whatever. And so that could have, and a lot of people rely on TikTok for their businesses as their marketing and things like that. So I think the court's going to really kind of take that into account. But most experts are saying that they expect the court to rule before the 19th. That's why they have this whole expedited schedule. So if they have oral arguments on the 10th, that'll give them 9 days to make their ruling.
So that's kind of the one side to it, which is like financially driven. But the other side, and this is kind of where it all started, was this started because of security concerns, right?
Yes, this started because of security concerns based on the fact that ByteDance, who owns TikTok, is a company that's centered in Beijing, and Beijing has this civil-military fusion idea where they have to exchange information with the government. That's what it's reported. And so the concern was, Congress had this concern that, and actually President Trump at the time in his first term, he put the ban on, and then that got reversed, and then Congress passed the law. And so the concern is twofold. One is that they're able to gather information from us, because there's 170 million users in the U.S., which is over half the population. And the second thing, which is really interesting, is this notion that they're pumping kind of pro-Chinese, or they're giving us messages through TikTok, which I think is super interesting and something we have to pay attention to between that and artificial intelligence. You know, what kind of information, all the movies, iRobot and all that, we're getting pumped with a lot of information. So that's the argument behind that.
I've also seen, I'm not on TikTok. I feel like I'm past the age threshold for TikTok. But
well, then I won't say anything.
But I feel like what they were showing people in China on TikTok versus what they've been showing Americans here is very different. Like, there was more educational, and here it's just like doom scrolling stuff.
Exactly, and that is the argument, because there were lawsuits with TikTok even before this about its addictive nature, and we do know the impact of social media and all that, and so that is an argument. And I haven't read the psychological or sociological reports and saying this is how it's impacting us as a nation, but that's the argument from the lawmakers. And some people are criticizing Congress and saying, well, Congress is so old right now that they don't fully appreciate the technology and how it's working, and they don't really understand it. And as a more mature person myself, I can relate to that, because overnight I became low tech. So I'm like, I get it. If Congress could be out of touch, I get that argument.
Let's go back to MySpace, all the way back.
Exactly.
Whitney, as always, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.